Hello, puppies and kittens. So I'm doing a kind of a special interview today. I mean, there are some people out there who complain that if a university doesn't give them the venue to express their false claims or hateful opinions, or if you block them from harassing you on social media, then they think that's somehow a violation of their right to free speech. What they don't understand is that free speech means that you don't get arrested for expressing your opinion. And such people need to understand that there are places in the world where you could spend decades in prison just for wearing this t-shirt. And today I'm speaking with Bill Flavell, Vice President of Atheist Alliance International, and Leo Igwe. And we are talking about Mubarak Bala, who was recently a Nigerian citizen, recently imprisoned in Nigeria for blasphemy, the charge of blasphemy, which I've always said, I've said it in a number of videos that here in the United States, at least, blasphemy is not a crime, it's a right. And so, gentlemen, what have you to say about this matter? What should we know?
Well, I mean, first of all, it's not recently. He was arrested on the 28th of April, 2020. So we're coming up for 2 years now in prison. He waited 14 months before he was actually charged.
And I didn't see the news story, and I didn't see the news story until like 2 weeks ago.
We've been working on this for 2 years now, and according to Nigerian law, you should be charged within 7 days at the most, and he wasn't charged for 14 months. And in fact, for how long was it? It was about 7 or 8 months. He was held incommunicado, and he wasn't allowed to see a lawyer. And in fact, we didn't even know if he was alive or dead. Back then, I did a campaign with his wife where I wrote to every single senator in Nigeria, and we called the campaign Proof of Life. We just wanted them to tell us if Mubarak was alive or dead, and not one soul answered us. Not one of them.
So, Leo, I apologize. I think I skipped the rest of your intro. You are, I think, president of the Nigerian Humanist Association. Is that right?
No, actually, Bala is the president. I'm just the chair of the trustee.
Okay.
Trustee, yeah.
No, so more crossed information then.
Yeah.
All right. Well, still welcome, and I'm alarmed that you can be in prison for 14 months and not be, and that nothing is mentioned to family or anyone. How the hell does that happen?
We knew he was arrested the day after he was arrested because he had friends with him on the day that he was arrested, and he did make one phone call after his arrest, but then he disappeared. And although his lawyers and other people, Leo included, were asking the authorities where he is, they all refused to tell us. Leo, you carry on with the story. You were there. You were doing it.
Yes. As Bill said, yes. He was arrested. That was in April 2020, and they disappeared him. Yeah. They disappeared him because in Nigeria, especially in the north of the country, the religion of Islam, is regarded as superior to anything, including the Constitution. And if you openly ask the clerics, Sharia and Constitution, which one is superior? And the clerics will openly tell you that Sharia is superior to the Constitution. And it's not just what they say, that's actually what they do. And what is happening to Mubarak exemplifies this. And how the process has gone exemplifies this. The sentences handed down is also a demonstration, because all of us were expecting that, okay, even if you gotta convict Mubarak, it will not be more than maybe 2 or 3 years imprisonment, because that's actually what we have in the Constitution. And but eventually, they were duplicating the charges and duplicating, of course, the sentences, and eventually handed down, these 24 years. So what is going on is that Nigeria has a constitution, but which is disregarded, which is not respected. even though those who are not respecting this constitution, they are elected within the framework of the constitution. In other words, they are expected to act as a result of that constitution, not what their religion says. So I think that Nigeria deserves to be embarrassed for this, and they deserve any kind of condemnation that we can muster at any level. We've been doing it, of course, but I think that they have doubled down by the way they have gone ahead to sentence Mubarak, and we should all double up in our efforts to make sure that this kind of legal charade, is not accepted or acceptable, by the civilized world.
Absolutely. And people say that he was charged with blasphemy. Well, they would like to have charged him with blasphemy because of some posts he made on Facebook. But the truth is, there is only one blasphemy law in Nigeria, and that's in the Sharia law. In the Sharia law, which 12 northern Nigerian states practice and use, they can give the death penalty for blasphemy. But outside of that, the Sharia law is only really applicable to Muslims. So Mubarak's not a Muslim. He renounced Islam in, I think, 2014. So they can't apply the Sharia law to him. It's not legal. So they have to use the other criminal law, which they call the penal code. And the penal code does not have a law against blasphemy. They only have a law against speech which is likely to cause a breach of the peace. So that is, in fact, what he was charged under, not blasphemy.
A breach of the peace.
Yeah.
So the story that I read was that he pled guilty to blasphemy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he pled guilty to the charges against him, which were not charges of blasphemy. They were charges of speech likely to incur a breach of the peace.
So I understand that you already have lawyers working on this, but
yes.
but the authorities won't even put you in touch with the person being counseled.
Well, I mean, the lawyers, initially, Mubarak was denied access to the lawyers, for about, let's say, 6 to 7 months. Yeah, he was denied access to the lawyers. Even when he was given access to the lawyers, it was also sometimes as a result of some pressure. For instance, the lawyer was there on Sunday before Monday they had a trial, but they refused to give him access because they said it was a weekend, and that that he couldn't see the Mubarak before, that he should come on a weekday. And the next day was the court. Of course, the lawyer wanted to meet with him so that they could all converse and maybe strategize together, but they didn't allow him. So it was even challenging giving, granting him access. Because look, let's just be clear about this. They don't want Mubarak's case to go according to the constitution. Yes, a state constitution, secular constitution. They want it to go according to their Sharia law. So they are just fronting the constitution or the state court system in order to let it seem as if, yeah, we are trying him, in line because, in quote, he's not a Muslim. They actually want to punish him for living Islam in line with Sharia law, not in line with the constitution. And we really need to get this out there and really follow it up that way, because that's what we put into context, the way Mubarak has been treated, the sentence handed over to him, and the fact that the day he changed the plea from not guilty to guilty was the day he was sentenced, the way he was convicted, the day the sentence, everything was handed over. In other words, what happened in the day was what we have been expecting for almost 2 years now to happen. It has not happened because he was pleading that he was not guilty. So it's important that we put this into context and understand the kind of game they're playing, so that we will really put out there the kind of hypocrisy, the kind of embarrassment they are causing to the civilized world.
Yeah,
well, it sounds like I should have Mubarak's lawyers on this show.
Yeah, that would be good. I'll tell you another aspect of it, which is that the constitution of Nigeria does allow does provide citizens with a number of rights. And especially when they've been arrested, they have rights. For example, they have rights to be charged within a certain time. They have rights to be brought to court before a certain time. They have rights to see a lawyer. There's a whole string of rights that you're allowed, just like most countries, actually. Mubarak was denied all of those things. Because he was denied those things, his lawyers filed a petition called a Fundamental Rights Enforcement Petition in May 2020. Now, there's a procedure for enforcement rights, which means that you have to treat these cases in law as an emergency. And you have 7 days from when the petition is lodged to when you should hear the case in court. In fact, it took them 164 days to hear Mubarak's case. And it took another 20 or 30 days for them to deliver a verdict. But actually, in December 2020, a judge said Mubarak has been illegally detained. He should be released immediately. He should be paid compensation, and the state should make an apology. That was in December 2020. The state absolutely ignored that court order.
That was a court order.
Yes.
Okay, so I need to talk to a lawyer. I mean, I'm great. I'm glad that I can talk to you guys, but I'm just so confused. There's so many questions that we need to get a lawyer in here to explain how this is happening and what can be done about it. What can you tell me about what can be done about this?
Well, we are doing what we can do about it, which is that we can appeal to the courts, and there are various processes that we can apply for. I mean, now that Mubarak has pleaded guilty to all counts and he's been sentenced, we can now appeal against the sentence, and we can appeal against the verdict, the conviction. Mm-hmm. And I'm not a member of the legal team, but I speak to the leader of the legal team, and so I know that they will be making that appeal soon, and that will be heard in a federal court. Now, the difference is, so far, all of Mubarak's court cases, and there have been maybe 12 or so, they've all been heard in not Islamic courts, in courts in Kano, which are where the judges are all Muslims. Now, once he goes to the federal court, some of the judges will not be Muslims, and therefore there will be a chance that they can actually follow the laws instead of following their Islamic principles, which they think are more important than the law.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Yeah, but again, first of all, while we will continue to pursue this case legally, we also know that because it has to do with Islam, even non-Muslim judges are also worried, they're careful, they are afraid of their lives. Sometimes they're afraid of their jobs because they get back to you in so many ways, either directly through violent ways or indirectly by getting at you in terms of your job or appointment. So if the ruling in any court does not please the Islamic establishment, there'll be problem. There's going to be problem. And many judges will want to refrain. They want to hands off any case that will either jeopardize their job or put them in danger. So there's a lot of fear, yes, even by non-Muslim judges. Yeah. Now, what is the way forward? We think that there could be a political solution. In other words, there could be a way to pressure the government, especially the government of Kano and the authorities there, because as soon as the government in Kano and authorities there come into an agreement, when they know that there is a price to pay by continually keeping Mubarak behind bars, I think that there will be some hope to reach a settlement. For a lot of people, we're not going to, it's not going to be a legal win per se. There has to be a political angle to it. And that political point, we will reach it at a point we impress, either through writing letters, getting our diplomats involved, getting our congressmen and women involved, sending letters to them, and making them understand there's something at stake here. And putting that before the politicians in Kano, because sometimes they act in defiance of what the world says. They don't care about it. But they are not an island. They are not political islands. They are doing business with so many governments. And it is important we get to the point where we can tell them that it cannot be business as usual. It cannot be political business as usual until Mubarak is released. So I think that while we will continue to do whatever we can legally to pursue this, to appeal it to the highest level, it is also important we know that there is some political capital here which we'll have to explore to make sure that at the end of the day, Mubarak is released.
So I'm glad that I saw the story that I did that alerted me that this was going on, though I thought, that I guess he must have, you said he was in jail for like 2 years before he confessed, I guess.
Yeah.
So, but the story that I saw was so far from what you guys are describing that the one shot at publicity to the Western world was thwarted by the corruption of the news media, apparently, by misreporting the story as they did. So, what can we in the West do to correct that, to correct the misrepresented tale that was being told, and express what's really going on, and then apply back political pressure this way?
Well, I've written an article which goes into the detail about the legal side of it, and it explains exactly what the law is that Mubarak was actually charged with, and it wasn't blasphemy. And
I'm going to ask you to share that link with me so I can put it below.
Yeah, at the moment it's on my Facebook page, so I can share that with you. But I'm going to be I'm a founding member of the Foundation for Religious Freedom, which is a Nigerian charity which aims to support the freedom of religion, but at the same time the priority of the Constitution and respect for the laws of Nigeria. And none of these things happen at the moment in Nigeria. We were talking about intimidation, and Leo is absolutely right. Lawyers, especially Muslim lawyers, but also Christian lawyers, are afraid and intimidated. There's no question about that. We recently had a case of a guy called Yahya Sharif Aminu. He was 22 years old, and he was sentenced to death in Kano for singing a song which appeared to be disrespectful of Muhammad on WhatsApp. We discovered that he'd been tried and found guilty without any legal representation. The reason for that is that although he was entitled to legal representation, no lawyers would represent him on the blasphemy case. It was too scary for them. So we got our lawyers from Lagos and Abuja to go there, and we launched an appeal against his decision, and we've actually, his decision was quashed and his conviction was quashed. So his sentence and conviction were both quashed. However, they have referred him back to the Sharia court for a retrial. So now we're battling that in the appeal courts as well.
And he's still in custody, of course.
He's still in custody. He's been in custody, 18 months now. The guy's 22 years old.
And what about going higher than the courts?
Well, we haven't yet tested this in the Supreme Court. And once we get to the appellate court, which will be the next case, the next stop for Mubarak, if he is not released, I'm actually optimistic that he will be, but if he's not released at that point, we can take it to the Supreme Court.
Okay. So do please include whatever links anybody that's interested in this story should know.
Yeah,
from both of you. I'd be happy to put that in. And I don't know where else to go in this conversation from here. So I'm going to let both of you close out. Give a final minute or two, both of you, please.
Okay.
I don't know. It is literally shocking to me the way the Islamic establishment in the northern states treat people in Nigeria. They do behave as though they're treating everybody according to Sharia law, when in fact they're not allowed to do that. In fact, the Constitution only allows Sharia law for family law. It doesn't allow it for criminal law. So all of this Sharia law, which is being used for criminal purposes, is illegal, in my opinion. It's unconstitutional. So one day we're going to have to challenge that at the Supreme Court.
Leo?
Well, I think, first of all, you said something about the report in the press on the Western side and all that. And what I'm trying to say is that I think that the Western press has been very careful when they're writing or discussing or reporting anything that has to do with Islam. This is my observation. I may be wrong. Because there's always this tendency, they don't want to be accused of Islamophobia, which is something so charged in the West. And for us here, because of our condition, it means nothing. It means because we are here, that is abused, threatened, harassed, and what else? Prosecuted by Islamists, by people who come openly to your Facebook and tell you, we are going to kill you, we are going to behead you, we are going to, destroy you and attack you, just because you hold a view critical of Islam. So it seems like we are living in a different world from the West. So don't be surprised that cases like this don't get the attention, maybe except maybe when there was kind of a ruling like what we saw last week, because the Islamic world has succeeded in getting the West to be very careful and tread slowly in reporting this and being very critical, presenting very critical report on Islam. And it's unfortunate and it's a disappointment, especially to those of us who live in a part of the world where the Islamic establishment has been very oppressive, has been behind the persecution, discrimination, and violation of the rights of non-Muslims. So I think that this is something that deserves attention, and it is important that we find a way to get the Western press to continue to uphold that same standard of criticism they use when they're addressing Christianity and other non-Muslim religion. We don't see it, when it comes to Islam. And this is the reason why some of the atrocities being perpetrated in the name of Islam, some of the violations, some of the obvious, stark denial of humanity and human rights done in the name of Islam is being swept under the carpet or toned down because people don't want to be accused of Islamophobia. So that's exactly one of our challenges and one of our frustration, our sense of frustration from this part of the world. Now, on our own part of the world, the fact there is that, well, Mubarak's case is a test case. It shows now that free thinkers, humanists, atheists are potential criminals or actual criminals. I don't know how to put it in this case. In other words, we are just waiting for the day they will just come and lock us up for making any comments critical of Islam or critical of Christianity, critical of Islam or critical of Muhammad. So, and of course, it could also, we should also know that if Muslims have gotten away with it, Christians could. Yes, nobody should rule out that, But for now, it is important that we understand the kind of Islam that is being practiced in our own part of the world and the danger it poses, not just to the human rights of non-Muslims or atheists, but also the signal it sends to the whole world that there are places in the world today where a comment on Facebook could earn somebody 24 years imprisonment under a law, in quote, whatever you call it. So I think that this is something that could make us to pause and ask ourselves, in which century are we? And what claim are we making to human rights or constitutionality or to civilization? So for me, this is a wake-up call, is a wake-up development. It is a way to tell us, look, we shouldn't sleep. We should be vigilant because something is going on here that is not compatible with some of those ideals we think we have always nurtured and institutionalized over the years. So I think that, you know, at the end of the day, whether in the West or in Nigeria, in Africa, it is important we wake up to the reality of the oppressive nature of Islam and take measures to make sure that we create a society, a world, where everybody is treated equally and people have the right to express their views, whether it's complimentary or uncomplimentary of a religion or prophet. And we don't want anything short of that. And we must stand together, whether we are Muslims or Christians or humanists or atheists, on this.
Brilliantly put. I can't add anything to that. So I'm going to close on that note, and I wish the best of luck, and please keep me in your email loops. I want to know about updates on this case. I want other people also to be able to use this link to find updates on this. So please include your links on how they can do that and how they can lend further support. Thank you both very much.